what I do believe is content is still king. It's just the way you create that content and what you talk about in that content. Your content is still going to have to create value. It just may be a different format.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, let's go. I don't know when you're joining us, but we are about to head into Thanksgiving, and what a better way. And maybe if you're listening to this a week or two later, you go, yeah, I'm just going to relive that Thanksgiving awesomeness. But what a great way to usher that in by talking to my guest today. She's an absolute badass. She's a wizard. So many things I can say about her. And of course, she's a fellow Connect to Market community member. You've probably seen her or been in a breakout with her as she is just dropping wisdom left and right. I can't wait to just learn from her today. But who is she, Casey? Who is she? She is a SaaS marketing leader, a thought leader, a demand gen guru. She's a passionate mentor. You'd even call her like a data-driven B2B marketing tech wizard, experience with fintech, supply chain, logistics, you name it. She even played a key role creating a conference that nearly drew an internal, company conference, 1,000+ attendees, CMO at Alkami Technology. Jennifer Cortez, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Casey. It's a fun way to start before the holiday break.
It is. And man, you are just doing so many things, and congrats on CMO. And when we first talked, it was a different title. And, this is amazing. You're a rocket ship.
It's been a good year. It's been a little wild year, but the journey's not always what you expected. But it's been really exciting, and I have just awesome people around me. And I think, that makes all the difference. Like when you take this journey and you get to your place in your career, it's not on your own. There's always really good people around you. And so I've been really, really fortunate in my career to be surrounded by good teammates, good employees, great mentors. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. Oh man, it is always the people. And so today you're that people, and I'm excited to interview you. So in order for me to ask you this first question, I need to sport my giant foam finger over here.
Okay. All
And
right.
so let's go ahead and throw this thing on here. All right, Jennifer, what is the number one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market?
I'll tell you, it's really simple for me nowadays.
Yeah.
Don't be a dinosaur. I mean, let's stop being old school. I think, especially in the B2B space, Casey, it's very easy for us to all go back to the formal, very demand waterfall, templated way of doing marketing, right? And that is not the way the world works anymore, especially I think post-pandemic. Um, you're starting to see this world where the trends of B2C marketing and B2B marketing are converging more now. And so I really like to challenge my teams and just other marketers I talk with how can we do things differently? How do we like to, be bought to? So I kind of have, this list of things that I, always kind of
Oh
carry
man.
with me when I go into the teams, I think it's let's not do old school marketing. Let's be new school and let's lead the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about this, like the dinosaur marketing. There's something comfortable about it. It's like a known entity.
Oh, yeah.
It's safe, right? But it's just not the thing. I remember bumping into a friend who was like, "Hey, my website's not showing up on Google. Like our company's not showing up." Why? She had done SEO strategies from like 10 years prior, and Google had like banned her for trying to, mess with the algorithm,
Oh, and look, let's be honest, 3 years from now, AEO is gonna take over SEO. We're already seeing this happen out
Yeah.
there. And so, I think, it's really interesting, Casey. I was talking to somebody months back I think they were looking for somebody in a demand gen role, and they were saying,
Okay.
"Man, I just see a lot of turnover. It's like every 2 years I'm trying to find this role." And I said, I doesn't surprise me because it's really easy to come in when there's nothing there and set up a foundation that we've learned from that old kind of B2B SaaS model and have success over a year or two. And then all of a sudden, after that initial success, because you turn some things on, sometimes you don't always know where to go from there. And that traditional model that set up the beginning of that demand gen program for you doesn't work in the long term. And so, like one of the things I've been talking to my teams about lately is on this whole topic of like not being old school with our marketing is market the way you wanted to be marketed to. Like if we think about the way we want to buy, we want marketing to be personalized. We don't want to be hammered left and right with nothing but cold calls. Um, why do we think that B2B buyers are any different? Like, we have to start merging that, and that doesn't mean you don't have all the same functions like, digital and email and outbound. It's how you do those differently. Like, what do we
Right.
do about those motions that makes that a more pleasing buying experience, right? Like, I was thinking, as you look at all what's happening with, like, human-led content out there on LinkedIn, like, let's turn our outbound team into influencers out there. Let's, have them share meaningful content. There are so many creative ways to think about that. I think in marketing, like we're part science, part art, right? Like we have to have a test and learn culture. So the big thing to me is, hey, let's keep those, things that we know have to be the foundation of a marketing program, but let's test and learn more. Like let's try and take some risks. If we are not taking risks and we have our same little channels and everything's perfectly working and we think it's fine and we're just coasting, we are probably not innovating fast enough and trying new things. And we're in a world now, like with AI, marketing is going to be flipped on its head here. I think MarTech is due for disruption. There is a lot that is already changing in our world, and a year from now, it's going to change.
There is so much change.
Yeah.
By the way, like, man, talk about there's nothing clickbait about this conversation. Part science, part art, have a test and learn culture. My
Yeah.
gosh, Jennifer, you're on a roll today. One of the things I was keying in on too was the idea that we somehow forget. I love you brought this up. We forget the marketing that we hate, and then
Yeah.
we just repeat that on other people. Like, oh, I got this terrible spammy email that clearly was AI and clearly didn't know who I was and offered something stupid. And then that we go into work and later on we send the same dang thing out. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You didn't enjoy that. It didn't work on you. Why would you think that it's going to work on somebody else?
There are so many ways, and I think, it really comes down to if you think about your real life, and I'm on Instagram or I'm on Amazon or I'm on TikTok, whatever it is, everything is so personalized to me. Like, I joke, I'm like, gosh, TikTok knows me better than I know myself some days. And so when we think about that buying experience, no matter which channel that is in, because let's be real, no channel is perfect. Everyone has different preferences in that. But how are we making that more personalized and, being there for the buyer when they're ready for us? I think, for marketing back in like 10 years ago, it was, oh, I just need to generate leads and just get leads. And it
Right.
didn't matter if they were ready to buy. A lot of what I see now is you want to do enough that you create trust in your company and your brand. So when they are ready to buy, they're picking you. And so how do you, throughout what you're doing in your marketing channels, create that trust because you know them well and you see what they care about and you're paying attention versus just being noise right now, So, um, that's a huge thing to me. I think about content, right? Like content's huge.
Yeah.
One of my pet peeves is gating content. I think there's a time. Oh my God. It drives me nuts. I'm like, just because I downloaded your report doesn't mean I'm ready to buy your product tomorrow. But what if you offered me content just as a value, being an advisor to me? And I go, man, that company really knows what they're talking about in this space. They have fantastic content. I'm gonna go back and look at that, or I'm gonna go reach out to somebody. Like, how do we create that's the difference between demand gen and lead gen. Like, if we are in an old school lead gen mindset versus let's put enough out there to create a trusted brand and buying experience that they wanna come to us, that's how we wanna be operating nowadays. So, that's a hard one for us because we've been trained to just get leads, 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 like the MQL chasing game. And I think one of the best thing I've heard on some other marketing groups I've been a part of is like, yeah, but does that always translate into pipeline? Does that always help us grow the business? Like, I think the best thing I heard was like the MQL is dead. I'm like, I'm okay with that because I want SQLs. I want pipeline. How are we creating more of that versus vanity metrics out there? So, I think that's key. A part of that on my list is like,
Yeah. What's your list? Tell me about it.
so, we've covered a couple of it, like market
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
where you wanted to be marketing to. That's number
Totally.
one, right? We've got to put ourselves in the seat of the buyer. Test and learn, right? Stop gating content's always going to be on my list. It's right there. Like, it's just like, especially, what drives me nuts, Casey? when it's like, I want to go read a success story, like a case study, and it's gated. And I'm like, that's your success story. Why are we not like yelling it from the rooftops?
That's a
Right?
good point. That is a good point. But, like, my challenge back to people who said that, but I used to be like Mr. Marketing Automation, so, like, we had to gate everything, it was what
Yeah.
you did. But my challenge back was, what if it just wasn't as big of a gate? Is
Yes.
it still a problem? Could it
100%.
just be like your email maybe?
Create less friction. Like,
Yeah,
right? But and I think on this topic, kinda number 4 on my list,
yeah.
don't be afraid of bad data. We started these quarterly reviews, on my team a few years ago where we go through all the demand gen data. And it's interesting, I had to kinda coach people to say, "Hey, it's okay if we didn't get good news from this campaign. Sometimes you learn just as much from the bad data as you do from the good data," right?
Mhm.
I still stand by, it's what I said earlier. If the data's only telling us good news and everything's humming, I I kinda question that we're doing enough, that we're not, like, breaking enough or taking enough risks to do something out of the box that's gonna make our marketing perform even better. So, I love data, like, when marketing automation, when it was the Marketos and Eloquas and everybody coming on the scene, that's where I really developed my passion for the digital side of marketing, the demand gen side of marketing, because we had data at our fingertips for the first time. But I also saw a world where marketers would take the data and only try to attach it, attribute it to tell the stories they wanted to versus what was really happening. Yeah, maybe we spent all this money on a campaign and we want to say it worked, but did it really? Like,
Right.
maybe this channel isn't performing for us. So we really got to be honest with ourselves and sometimes say, hey, this didn't work, but what do we learn from it? So I think that
Yeah.
that's so important in our role.
But it takes some kind of it's either confidence or humility or a little bit of that scientific, approach because it's you have to be kind of vulnerable. Like, hey, this thing didn't work. No, I wasn't perfect, and this thing we launched didn't. I had something where 2 different years, particular company I was working at, and we worked way harder the second year, spent way more money, and got like about the same amount of deals.
Oh, that's so frustrating. Oh,
Right, but like, what you don't sweep that under the rug and just blame the economy, like, figure something out, or at
yeah.
least take a stab at why that happened,
Yeah.
and don't repeat it the 3rd year, you know?
No, and I think leaders respect that when you say, "Listen, we
Right.
tried something new, this didn't work." And if as long as we're thinking ahead going, with that in mind, now we're gonna iterate and we're gonna try this instead. Here's what we think we can do. And so
Yeah.
I think there was always a fear of saying something doesn't work. Like that's just and that's not just in marketing. I think that's in all areas of business. I'm an eldest daughter, firstborn, that like firstborn lore is like if it's not perfect on the first try, I suck at this, right? And so, I've had that ingrained at me and I've had to push myself to say, listen, this didn't work or but this did. So, maybe we try what we did on strategy, B. Like A/B
Yeah.
testing is never going to go away for marketers. I think if anything, we need to do more A/B testing. And again, test and learn. And we have to also though have support from leaders that are going to give us the runway to do that. I have been really fortunate, especially in where I am now, that I have leaders and executives that believe in marketing and believe in that craft. And they give us that runway to say, okay, we have to have things that we know are consistently going to grow the business for us, but give us runway to try some things differently and do some things a new way. And they may not all work, but that's part of understanding, where the world is going. With AI, like we are going to have to test and learn a lot right now because there's going to be some cool new things that we learn that we can do with AI, but there's gonna be so much more noise out there too, Casey. Like, I think the
Yeah.
digital channels are gonna become even noisier now. Think about all the, like, videos people are drumming up with AI that they're just like, "Oh, I can create videos with AI," and we're gonna get a lot of junk out there as people try this too. So, you know, what I do passionately believe is content is still king. It's just the way you create that content and what you talk about in that content. Your content is still gonna have to create value. It just may be a different format, right? If you create videos, a video is not gonna do well just because it's a video. The
Right.
content still has to be meaningful, which is
Right.
why I think things like podcasts like we're doing here, or other kinda like quick hit, you know, TikTok style videos out there, hit really hard out there. you still have to provide value and you have to know what you're talking about. We've been talking
Yeah.
about, we have a big research arm, right? That we do. We have a ton of our own research, and I still think research is really valuable. But do people really want to read a 50-page report anymore? No, they want you to tell me the highlights of that research in a like 2-minute or less reel type of video. So it's rethinking how you take and articulate that value for a modern audience.
Oh, tell me more about the research thing, because yeah, I feel like clients want that, customers want that.
They want it, but they want you to tell me the 5 most important data points out of that report so they don't have to sift through 10 pages to get there, right?
Right.
Like, it is, and we see this. It's funny, we do a lot of generational trends research, and I think about, generations now, like, I think about me versus my parents, elder millennial over here, geriatric millennial or whatever they call, my group, Zennial, and then I've got 2 Gen Alphas in my house, and I
Sure.
think about my patience when it comes to getting the information I need. Theirs is 10 times less, like, than mine. It's that immediacy, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, research is important. People want data. They wanna know industry tidbits and news, but they don't wanna have to download, submit a bunch of information, and then to only sift through another 50-page report to get it, right? They wanna watch a video with you and me talking about that. They wanna know what they need to know quicker and be able to move on.
Yeah, and, I've even found that with podcasts, like, this conversation, it's like if someone's listening to this, if they want to be a fly or come on, you can have a seat, you can be a person in this room hanging out with us
Yeah.
in the conversation, but it doesn't get to all the information as quick as maybe people are even trained for that, so, like, the clips come in handy for that. If you wanna just hang out with us and be part of the vibe and then learn as you go,
Yeah.
you have that playing in the background as you're doing some chores or yard work or whatever. But yeah, there's that different kinds of things or different kind of like their intent for consumption is different.
Yeah, and even just getting them to watch the episodes, right? You've gotta when you think of those clips, like, what's the hook? I was a
Yeah.
journalism major, and it's similar to that. It's like you gotta hook them in that first 2 sentences. So when you're promoting this, like, what's the hook now to get them in to watch that full episode or that full video?
Yeah.
It's again, it's the same thing we said at the beginning. We constantly have to put ourselves in the buyer's shoes. I was talking, to our teams, and I think this goes across sales and marketing. Sometimes, and especially in, I think, the B2B space, we're so focused on what's the best internal process for us as a company that we put that in front of what's the best process for the buyer. We're like, well, we want all these little steps to get all the perfect information to qualify this lead versus how much friction have I now put on the buyer? Am I making them go through 3 to 5 steps just to talk to a human? So sometimes we don't do that enough at companies, and I think that that is really, really important. Our job as marketers is we are supposed to constantly be advocating for the buyers. If we create the best buyer's journey, that should create, better results for us. But we
Right.
have to constantly challenge ourselves. We have to talk with our partners in sales, on how to make that work. And sometimes it's just having conversations like this, Casey, to reflect on this. I think like 5 or 10 years ago, I was at an SKO, and I was trying to emphasize, the importance of how people were buying differently and how people were doing more research up front before they talked to a salesperson or maybe a BDR out there. And I just asked the whole room, I was like, what's the first thing you do when you want to research a product or solution? And they all were like, well, we go to Google. I'm like, why are our buyers any different? They're doing the same thing. What are they doing today? They're probably starting to go to ChatGPT or
Yeah.
other models like that. So now we're having to pivot and start to understand how we're going to evolve content and other things to go into that world. This is here's a near and dear to my heart that like I now feel like I'm pushing on. I get asked often, well, can I get a one pager for that? And I'm like, okay, do you need a one pager? And who's actually reading one pagers anymore? Can we do this digitally? Can we think differently? Like, how can we create things that accomplish what you're looking for in a one pager, but then they're also going to help serve our content needs to get found online or, in these different like LLMs. So we have to start rethinking everything we do. I just go, there's other ways to do this better versus just slideware and one pagers and that old school mentality. Again, it's just the world is changing. I don't know about you. I don't like to read one pagers, Casey, when I'm researching solutions. I'm like, let me go
Yeah.
quickly look at this website and then show me the product. Right. So That is just I have to catch myself too sometimes, like, "Okay, wait, am I thinking about this in terms of what the buyer is looking for? Or can we lead the way because our company is doing it differently because we're in tune to what the buyer wants to experience?"
Yeah, more so than anyone else even. Like, "No,
Yeah,
I know what you want. Here's what you want. This and
yeah,
this and this." And yeah, I remember having a conversation with Adele Ravella who wrote Buyer Personas, and she did this big project with John Deere, and she asked me how many personas I thought there were, and I was like, "I don't know, like 3,000?" And there
yeah,
ended up being 2. It was like the guy who, you know, had never bought a combine before, or whatever the hell it
yeah,
was, and the guy who for sure had, didn't wanna talk to you, just wanted a comparison chart, then don't call me, right?
yeah,
So there was 2 paths of like, "Here's how I wanna learn. Give me the chart, tell me this, compare the specs, that would be helpful, but don't give me a buzz. I'm
yeah,
busy." But the other guy was like, "No, please walk me through this." And to switch the wires on either of them would be just disastrous because one does want the help and the other one was just, "Give me the data."
yeah, yeah. That's and you learn that. I mean, people wanna buy differently. We've gotta be in tune to that, and we also I think too, that's like, there's no perfect template when it comes to, like, marketing and selling all the time. It is more and more it's exactly what you said, it's that personalized, it's getting to that buyer, what's their behavior, what do we think they want next?
Yeah.
Um That's what I expect in a buying experience, like, and at the end of the day, the one thing that is interesting is I do think there's a human-led aspect to that. Like, once they do get on with that human, the fact that you've listened to them and you've paid attention to them and, you're thinking about that in terms like, once you get a buyer on the phone, right? It's like what you said, "Okay, where do I use my time the best with them? Do I use a bunch of slideware? Or do I get this product in front of them as fast as I can? Or do I get them that data chart because I can tell that's what that person cares about?" So I think, there's a lot of that fear right now with AI of like, is that all going away? It's not. There might not be as much human interaction right up front, but once you get them and you get them on the phone with, whether that's your SDR, whether it's your salesperson, that human interaction that we've paid attention maybe to that data and what they're exploring and they care about becomes even more important.
Yeah, and if you wanna see a good example of taking it too far, Sears Home Appliance, there is no human in the loop until they show up at your house, and it was maddening. It was like
Yes.
0% NPS.
Yes.
Like, I like Comcast better. Like, I like your local cable channel, station, service way better than that appli like, there was something that they stripped it out to be they were so I'm sure they're efficient, but man, do I hate these guys, right? And
Yeah.
they had a
Yeah.
terrible experience, and just one person who could have just explained it to me would have just solved it.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have to explore that good mix of, like, the human versus the tech, and that's still
Yeah.
always gonna be part of that buying experience. At the end of the day, I'm doing more of my research and buying up front without talking to a person, but once I'm engaged with the person, that really matters to me and how that they approach me. So I think, yeah, it's just finding the right combination, and it's never gonna be the same, it's constantly gonna evolve, but that's where data helps us, and we have to pay attention to that.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Well, my next question really is like, who are you? Who are you? How do you know these things? Can you take me back in time, little Jennifer days? Did you know you're gonna be a CMO, crushing it, having an amazing marketing team around you, just totally making things happen? What was it like?
Oh gosh. Okay, so Casey, like growing up at first, I thought, okay, I went to Texas A&M, gig
There you
'em.
go.
Hopefully we'll make the playoffs. I'm really watching it. I thought I was gonna be a veterinarian, all right, like growing up in school. So very different from where I am now. And then I started to realize I got too attached to my animals and that just was not gonna work for me. I'm like a dog mom. So, there's no way I could have done that job. But somehow I found my path, where I wanted to go into journalism and I thought I wanted to be a newscaster. So you're kind of like helping me live those dreams right now, doing this podcast. I
Oh,
thought I was
yeah.
like local news
Can you
station.
use the fake weather behind you, you know?
Yeah, that was the dream. And so I got into college and, you go, huh, I don't know if this is actually the path I want to go. And I started going down like more of that PR and marketing path in business
Sure.
school and, got out of school into my first job, which was in the financial services space. And I really started to just develop a passion for marketing. So then I went back to business school and got my MBA. And I made a move in the middle, which most people are like, oh, go get your MBA. Don't make a move before then. Well, I decided to kind of take a leap and I moved to a company during that. And that was really where I think I grew up in my marketing career. That's when the marketing automation really started becoming big. And when I came out of school, everyone kind of thought they had that superficial view of marketing. Like, you guys throw events and you make things pretty, which,
Right.
don't get me wrong, I love a good conference, but I also is my
It's
pet
same.
peeve when people just think marketers do events and swag, right? And so, I got into the MarTech space. My job was, doing a lot, running the first marketing automation platform. I had a fantastic mentor, in those days, and, I got into the data side of it, and I was working for very operational-minded executives. I was in the supply chain space, and the
Wow.
beauty of that was they kinda weren't super passionate about marketing, so that forced me to get really good at the data and understanding how marketing impacted the business and how marketing was actually a growth engine. So, I spent 9 years, it was a company called Transplace that they're now part of Uber Freight. And then my mentor eventually left and gave me the department. I was, what, 7 months pregnant with my youngest, a month out from the conference. I'm going, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna take the department now. How am I gonna do this?" And I think what I learned from that was, like, nothing it's like what I said at the beginning, nothing ever happens the way you expect it, but when you're given that opportunity, it's really what I think forces you to develop the most, and you really step up into the next level. And you realize as a leader, you learn a lot from past mentors, but there's also a lot you might do differently. So, I spent my time there, and then I made the move over to Alkami. I came over here, I wanted to be mentored by a CMO, and I had probably one of the second biggest mentors in my career at Alkami and a lot of
Wow.
other great executives, and I've just kind of gone on that path here, and I've just been really fortunate, I think, in where I am now to work for people that admire the function of marketing. It doesn't always happen. Just have a lot of respect for it, and they give us that runway to go, "Hey, we wanna be innovative. We wanna do things different. We wanna lead the way here." So, when you're and I know this isn't always the story for everyone. When you're in a place where they're gonna let you take some risks and be more forward thinking, that's allowed me to really grow and to develop into the marketer I am today, and then to help mentor and grow other marketers. So, that's kind of the journey I've been on over here.
Man, the risk runway and being able to just play with it and use it and
Yeah.
go for it, not hide your head in the sand somewhere, but not be a dinosaur. I mean, you could easily be working at a company that just was standing still.
I don't
And
think I'd have the patience for it anymore,
yeah,
but,
I would.
I know, Casey, I do as I think people in marketing, we recognize we get bored easily. That's why we're
Mhm.
good in this role, and
Right.
so we've gotta constantly be challenged and stimulated, and it's why we kinda love what we do, but, um, you know, the path is never, like I said, what you think it's gonna be. I was always a planner growing up. I'm like, "Okay, in this many years, I'm gonna do this. In this many years, I'm gonna be here." It never worked out that way. All of a sudden, an opportunity would come. Most of the time, it was earlier than I expected it, and I go, "Wait, am I ready?" And that imposter syndrome creeps in, and you
Oh,
realize,
for
"No, I
sure.
am. I'm ready, and I have some new ideas." And so, um, you gotta be ready for those and be willing to take that leap, and I think it's always worked out really well for me because it's challenged me in ways I needed to be challenged.
Yeah, something about challenge, a certain kind of people. It sounds like you and I are both that way, where it's almost like being told no or that it doesn't have an effect. It's like, "Oh, let me prove you right or wrong, but
Figure out.
let me
Yeah.
find out. Let me get to the bottom of this."
I love that kind of stuff. I think it
Yeah.
gets me going. I'm like, "Okay, well, let me just show you what I'm gonna try then."
Yeah.
Um, and so it's always, I love that. I'm like, "Bring it on. Let's go."
Yeah. Yeah, totally, totally. So, um, I wanna pose a hypothetical question for you next, if
Yeah.
you're ready for this.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
See, I may or may not have a time machine up here in New Hampshire.
Okay.
So next time you're doing a customer visit or whatever, come up to Boston, a short drive up, get some beer, some lobster. Okay, it's in
Oh,
the
yeah.
backyard, covered in a tarp. I may have a time machine.
Yeah.
And we use this time machine, and it's a particular kind of time machine where you go back in time and you get to meet yourself 4 days after getting that journalism degree, right? You
Yeah.
get to go visit that Jennifer. What do you tell yourself?
Oh, man. Um, and it might just be life advice too, Casey, when I think about this. Um, you're never gonna have a perfect plan. Don't think like you have a perfect plan. I mean, I think most of us would know we look back at our college self, we didn't necessarily do exactly what we thought there. Where I started there and where I ended up are very different. Um, and it wasn't like I said, as we said earlier, it wasn't the path I thought I would be on in the time I would be on, but it's all worked out in the end. And I would say the other thing is like, don't be afraid to like jump off the cliff. Like, I had a mentor tell me when you switch jobs or you're afraid of kind of leaving what you know, it's like jumping off the cliff and it gets easier like every time you do it. Sometimes forcing yourself to take that risk and to move and to take that change puts you exactly where you're meant to be. It's what takes you to that next level. And so and maybe that really could be summarized in taking risks, Casey. I think when you think back at it, like sometimes as humans, like we're risk adverse. But taking those risks is what propels us and puts us into the next chapter. So yeah, and I was like, listen, like I said, I told you at the beginning, eldest daughter, rule follower, perfect schedule, perfect plans. Like I've had to throw that out, the window. And I still kind of deal with that now where I'm like, I want it to be this way. And you got to tell yourself, no, sometimes you're going to have to do it differently. Sometimes the plan is not the plan, right? So I think that's that advice I'd give to my past self.
I feel like that's powerful, and I don't know, I think as you keep mentioning the firstborn thing, I'm there with you, but it's almost like that was the intent, but how often do we actually follow through on that, or do we just all go crazy when
Yeah.
we're firstborn?
That's go crazy, right?
The second kid is like, follows that path. See, I'll do it. They wouldn't do it. I'll do it, you know?
Yeah. Mine are the same way. Mine are the same. My oldest is like such the rule follower like me. And then my youngest is the creative, like free spirit. And I go, I envy you sometimes. Like I need to embrace more of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, now, my follow-up then would be, do you think you would listen to yourself
Oh,
if you
probably
told
not.
yourself yeah.
I don't think I would. I think, you come out and you think, oh, I've got it figured out and this is what's next. And, you know, I think, I think also just going through some hard experiences, like when you don't get, everything that you expected right off the bat. Like I remember a time in college where I interviewed for an organization and I didn't get a spot, right? And I was like, what do you mean? Those types of moments are the best thing for you because it really forces you to rethink things and to try harder and to challenge yourself more. So I think you need some of those setbacks too to make you get better. When I look back, like it was hard going through setbacks where I didn't always maybe achieve right away what I wanted, but it only made me work harder. So I think it's an important lesson.
Yeah, and how you respond to those setbacks too. I mean,
Totally.
you could easily just shrivel up and go hide in a corner. Maybe you need to do that for a day or 2, but then what you do after that, really defines that next step, that next path,
It's like you and I said, Casey, it's like, okay, I'm gonna prove it wrong now. All right, like we're gonna
Yeah.
go do this differently. So yeah.
Yeah, it's actually probably a biggest weakness of mine if someone's like, "I don't think you can do that." I'm like, "Okay. All right. Hold my Diet Dr. Pepper, watch this," you know? Well, let's go.
I love
Let's
it.
go. Well, hey, where can people reach out and get in touch with you, connect with you, anything
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely LinkedIn. I think that's a great way. I love making connections on LinkedIn. I think the roundtables you host, Casey, are so great. I attended, I think I've been on 2 of those now. And, what I love about what we do as marketers is we are in a unique field where we love to share with each other. You can't obviously when you're with competitors, but when you're just with other marketers across other industries, I love that we are a craft or a profession that is like, I'm trying this at my company. Here's my idea. And we lean into each other all the time. It's like a club or something of like, we
Yeah.
all experience the same challenges. When I've been on those roundtables, you have those moments in marketing where like, this is hard. I'm not being heard. And then you get on with other marketers and you realize we're all going through some of the same pains on there. So I think there's a lot of groups, like that. I love the group you've started. LinkedIn's a great way to connect with me. That's probably the best way I would say is to get connected. I'm in
Yeah.
the DFW area, so I'd love to get with other marketers, and do idea sharing. So I think things like that are the best way to reach out and connect. And I just love that. That's my favorite thing about this profession is that collaboration and that spirit that we have with each other. That we're always there to give advice and help. There's another really good organization out there, Refine Labs, and I think they do some communities out there. They have really great marketing advice and strategy. And so I've joined a community there with them as well that I think is great with other marketers that I've been able to connect with.
That's great. Great advice. And we'll put all those links in the show notes. People can click on
Yeah.
through and all of that. Man, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on here. Like, we finally made it happen. And what a cool way to celebrate, obviously, CMO, from a great mentor, and then Thanksgiving, this is a great time.
It's a feel good, right? Going into
Yeah.
tomorrow. And
Yeah.
so I always appreciate the conversation and, welcome conversations with other marketers out there. So I hope everyone just enjoys the holidays, and got to give a shout out. I hope my Aggies pull out a win against the Longhorns
Let's
because we're having the
go.
best season ever. So, we'll think good things going into tomorrow.
Well, I will be watching as well in between naps, and yeah, it'll be exciting. Great times. And for those listening, if you did learn something, and I know you did, because I freaking have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, then share this with someone else. 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. 9,000 is cool too, but who needs to hear this? Next time you bump into a fellow marketer who is feeling like a dinosaur, maybe they need a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a challenge,
Yeah.
throw them a link to this episode. Inspire them to get out there and take some risks and take some challenges. And things are moving fast, so we can't let anyone just sort of hang out where they're currently at. And with that, Jen, thank you again.
Thank you, Casey. It's always nice to chat, and I love what you're doing here. Thank you for just being part of that community and connecting other marketers with each other.
Hell yeah, that's what it's all about. Connect to
Yeah.
market. Well, thank you all for being here. And this has been a crazy cool, very exciting episode of the Connect to Market Pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.